Strategic Macro. He's with me from London. Besides the logistical nightmare, yes, you could have a separate account where it has to go into, or you could be forced to use the miles that you've earned for business travel. Let's put logistics down to the side. Morally, sir, what's your argument?
Well, so I think it's less morals, because if it was morals, it would be about the planet. It's obviously better, but this is not about flight shaming. This is actually about automation and productivity. Before COVID, we didn't really have a good alternative for the face-to-face meeting. And every element of the corporate world that finds automation needs to leverage it to improve productivity. So this is about making sure that now unnecessary face-to-face meetings do not happen. Companies need to find the equilibrium, because before it was really all face-to-face. And now they need to find that equilibrium, and the companies that do are going to win. And unfortunately, frequent flyer miles throw an economic wrench in the equation, because they actually motivate more travel than otherwise would happen.
Now, most companies have a rule. We certainly have it at WBD that basically says, firstly, A, no ticket should be bought if it's more expensive for the purpose of frequent flyer miles. B, no travel should be undertaken just for the purpose, and you have to stick within certain airlines. Of course, there are 1,000,001 ways around those rules, aren't there?
Sure, but even if it's not more expensive, it's not about cost for the company. This is about keeping the employee in their most productive seat. When you travel, you give up a half a day. You know, it's not just hours. It's a half a day. Sometimes it's a day of your work time and your personal time. So I don't care if actually you're not paying more and the employee gets the frequent flyer miles. It's not about cost. It's making sure the employee isn't in the back of their mind making the decision because the frequent flyer miles are there for them. It's a benefit. It's an untaxed, effectively, payment for them that they can leverage. And the airlines know. Listen. The painful responses we've gotten to this, everyone feels hard done by this argument. They think it's absurd that people are entitled to this. I mean, before COVID, for years and years, this was a reasonable employee perk and benefit, and it would be suicidal for companies to take it away, because employees would feel that they need to go elsewhere where they're not appreciated and not trusted for their travel. But Economics 101, this is a law of economics. You pay and incentivize for something, it happens more than it should. And so we can't believe our employees are actually not rational economic actors.
One of the questions, because as an economist, so one of the questions, when should you use your miles? Assuming I've got a few miles, and I do have one or two, I do the old equation, as I'm sure you do as well. You know, a mile on United's worth X, half a cent, a mile on this is worth. When do you use them? Are you a user of miles or a hoarder of miles?
No, well, I'm personally a user of miles, and I think basically, one, they're not an inflation hedge, because the airlines can change the policy whenever they want to. But also, we're in an environment where airline pricing is very, very high. So if you can get access to the trip that you want, personally, I would cash in the miles. That's what I'm doing. But you know, I want to be in a world where basically the miles earned are the miles earned based upon personal travel. And the corporate is making it very comfortable for people to travel, giving them upgraded room, giving them access to a lounge. But don't pay them to travel, because that is negatively impacting productivity. It's obviously lousy for the planet.
All right. So in that scenario, are you in favor of no one getting the miles? Are you in favor of the company getting the miles? Are you in favor of me getting the miles and having to use them? How do you remove that incentive?
Well, it's going to be tough, because basically someone needs to step up and start this process, and being the first could be ugly. So the easiest way to force this is for the government to say we're going to tax it. That creates so much complication that everyone will just stop using them, right? Because who's going to want to have to deal with that? But my answer to you, Richard, is big companies should lead with this, and they should go to the big airlines and say, give us the best price you can without the airlines. Give us, let's say, lounge access for all our employees that fly. And they use those savings, because they clearly get a savings on that, and use those savings to give the employee a higher meal allowance or a better hotel. It's not about making travel more challenging. It's lousy, but there's definitely a solution here if they want to do it. Part of the problem, Richard, is the biggest beneficiaries. are the CEOs and the CFOs of the companies themselves. They have huge knowledge.
Sir, I disagree. To quote Voltaire, I disagree violently with everything you say, but I fight to the death for your right to say it on Quest Means
Thank you.
Business. Grateful to